Hi, this is Brittany Evans. For this module, I decided to do Invent a Plant. I actually got the activity from NSDL. The objective is for students to invent a new plant using their knowledge of plant parts and plant needs to create a model that is adapted to live under specific environmental conditions. Previously, I had students design a new plant and have them label the parts. However, this didn't extend their thinking as much as I would like. So in order to enrich the activity, I went on NSDL and I found this one, and with the adaptations, I think it really enriched it. These are the different action cards or the environmental conditions that students would be receiving. So some are saying that the plant needs to be able to catch insects, or the plant needs to be able to store water, live on the surface area of the pond, things of that nature. So for this, I selected one of the cards, and I got the card that a plant can live on the surface area of a pond. To do this, I began exploring using resources that my students would have access to. I found two very useful texts on EPIC and decided to use those. I also recorded my information in a science notebook in a similar manner I would have my students. I wrote the problem and I took notes from my exploration. One of the most interesting things I found was that some water plants actually have bladders and they help them capture small creatures in the water. So I thought that might be a fun add-on for my plant. To begin, I did my design and I drew it out. I decided to model mine after an elephant, so it's going to be an elephant-looking plant. I did this because one of my students actually designed an elephant plant in the previous way. They just didn't have the different adaptations to think about as well. So I used his idea and then I kind of went with it in order to make it more adaptable to the pond surface. So the one thing I wanted to point out was I decided to go with the bladders so that my plant would be able to eat items in the water, and I decided that the trunk would enable my plant to be able to catch those creatures. So here's my first elephant creation. My students, I would give them recyclable items, glue, tape, string, toothpicks, popsicle sticks, things of that nature to work with. I decided to try it out on our tables. The tables were supposed to represent the water surface, and I dangled it down so you would be able to see. So as you can see, this right here is the stem, and then the roots are jutting off of it. It talked about the stems being able to move freely, so I used the string so it could sway with the current, and the roots were supposed to be rather large so that they can really get into the muddy soil and hold the plant firm. Now, in order to make it better, I decided to remake the trunk bladder, and here's my reason why. When I first used just cardboard, I realized that there wasn't much movement, so even in the current of water, it really wouldn't move around too much, and I wanted it to be able to capture all those tiny creatures. So I decided to use string and cups so it would be able to move more freely in the water, capturing those tiny creatures. So the cups were my bladders. So I created it and I tried it out, and as you can see, even when I hold it, the smallest of movements allows it to sway, moving freely in the water and able to capture those creatures. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and thank you so much for sharing your ideas with me through this class.